Welcome to Made-in-Alberta. Wetlands provide a lot of ecological services. When it rains, they hold the water, clean it, and release it slowly into our rivers and streams and underground aquifers. So they provide us with our clean drinking water. In Alberta, we tend to destroy a lot of wetlands to make room for human activities. But as Dr. Suzanne Bayley points out, we might be overlooking something important.
Well, wetlands provide a lot of services to people that we're really probably mostly not aware of. We look out over the landscape, and if we like wildlife, then we often know about wetlands because there's a lot of birds, there's a lot of mammals, just a lot of species in wetlands.
Not all types of wetlands have open surface water, but they all provide water services. They act like giant sponges. When it rains or floods, the water is held back and released slowly. They act like giant filters, and with all our intensive animal farming here in Alberta, that's a good thing.
They intercept the water that's either flowing over the land or just under the surface of the ground before it goes into our large lakes and rivers. And they take up the nitrogen and the phosphorus, they take up the pathogens and store them there, and that basically inactivates them. They also take up the sediment, so keep the sediment and keep our lakes and rivers more clear.
Wetlands can go through some very dynamic natural cycles. Things that look like lakes one year can look almost like pasture after 10 years of drought. At this point, farmers can choose to put in a drainage ditch, which destroys the wetland but allows for more cattle. The result? Over 60% loss of wetlands in the south, and a slippery slope for our fresh water supplies.
More cattle go out, you have more manure spread around. Then when it becomes wet, not only do we not have the wetland to clean it, it runs off much faster and goes into our lakes and rivers. That's why Alberta has such terrible water quality in general. Something like 85% of our lakes and rivers are out of compliance with our standards.
Dr. Bayley believes that most ranchers would help save wetlands, but they need financial help. With global warming already making this vicious cycle worse, it's a good time for the government to step in.
We don't even have real wetland legislation. The Water for Life strategy is supposed to provide some of that. Whether it gets passed, I certainly hope it does, because it's not punitive at all. It's intended to assist. And what it says is, if you can avoid destroying a wetland, do so. If you can't avoid it, then see how you can mitigate the damage to that wetland. If you can't mitigate the damage and you have to destroy it like they do in the oil sands, then pay into a fund that repairs other wetlands so that some of those functions can be put back into operation.
Dr. Bayley has been hired to figure out how wetland function can be restored after the mines close. Would you like to see more stories about this type of work in Alberta? We will give a DVD compilation of Made-in-Alberta stories to the first 10 people who call or email us.
Join us again for more stories about Alberta's water and weather.